Oh guys, this is it. This is not a drill! Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Pravus, and welcome to Frostpunk 2. Easily my most anticipated game in years. For those of you who don't know me, I am something of a Frostpunk fanatic. You can probably tell from the getup. It's one of my favorite games that I've ever played. We've covered it extensively on the channel, and now I get to be involved in showing off the game early for the rest of you guys, which is so exciting for me. Now, for the rest of you, this game is going to be coming available on September 20th. That is the official release day. For me, I happen to have a sponsorship today lined up with AMD, who are partnered with 11-Bit Studios, and they got me the early access. So, of course, a big thank you to AMD. You're going to find out more about that sponsorship in just a minute, and a big thank you to 11-Bit Studios. I love what you guys have created. If you guys want to learn more about the game, there's going to be a link in the description down below, and let's be honest, you're going to want to learn more because this game looks awesome. We're going to be starting up a new story campaign today because the narrative of Frostpunk is always one of its most compelling features, and this all begins with the prologue for The Wanderers. Now, funnily enough, as far as the difficulty setting, when you first start up the game, it actually recommends you play on Citizen, the lowest difficulty. If you're a veteran of Frostpunk 1, they say don't go much higher than Officer difficulty, because this game is hard, and at the high difficulties, you have no margin for error. So we're going to be going for an Officer difficulty this time, mostly to experience the game mechanics, learn a few things, get to experience the story. There will be a challenge run in the future, though, don't you worry. But before we get started, did you guys know that AMD and 11-Bit Studios have paired up to create a new custom GPU? It's true, it's a Raytheon 7700 XT, and it looks positively frigid in its exterior. And right now, they are doing a giveaway sweepstakes. If you find a link in the description down below, you can click on that for terms and conditions and try your luck for this gorgeous new graphics card. Alright, let's begin. Now this is going to begin with a new cinematic that was not shown to me in Warsaw, so this is totally new for me.
Captain. Can you hear us? Captain! Do you hear us?
A generation ago, we fled the crumbling British Empire as the world surround us. I held New London together. United, we survived 30 years of violence. But the world around us is dead. Empty. Right for taking. The city Mysters.
Merely surviving is not enough. We have to expand. After all, it's us who survived the end of the world. It's us who survived.
Okay, that's a little interesting and kind of dark. So, for those of you guys who don't know, Frostpunk 2 is going to be picking up the story 30 years after the events of the first game and the Great Storm. The captain has ruled, probably with an iron fist, for the last 30 years, and the city has kept together, but now he is dead, and someone else is going to take the mantle. But before we even get back to the story of New London, we have to deal with the Wanderers. We have been roaming the frozen desert for years. Many of us do not remember a world before the Great Frost. Now another whiteout is coming, and again, we've reached the old machine. Again, we will rely on its furnace to provide heat through the storm. In the past, we've always made sure that there were enough supplies for the next whiteout, but our numbers have grown throughout the years. Providing for everyone is getting harder and harder, and yet we must survive. And this will lead us to the old, broken down Dreadnought. And gosh, this game is looking beautiful. Made with the Unreal Engine, I believe, and they're really putting it through its paces. Alright, so this Dreadnought may be an old derelict, but it is our only key to survival in this prologue, and I will show you exactly how to survive here. It's a little bit tougher than you might think, though. When I was playing in Warsaw, it's surprising how many journalists and other content creators died by the end of the prologue. It can absolutely happen. So, the old Dreadnought remains in pieces under layers of snow, but the scattered wagons still have resources inside. First, we must break the ice to reach one of the oil wagons and build up an extraction district, then restart the furnace. So, there's a lot of different resources that are currently hidden underneath the ice. We can see some food, some prefabs, which is a new building construction material, was not in the tech demo, oil and so on, all very important, but to get to them, we have to break up that ice. So in the bottom right, this is where we have the frost breaking option. We can open up some tiles. What I want to do is open up some oil like this so that we will be able to set up a couple of districts. So something like this should be completely fine. We'll go ahead and speed things along. Now, one other thing I'm noticing is that we currently don't have enough housing for everyone, and we're running out of food, which is a bit of a problem. We also have a very limited number of scraps. This is a currency that we'll be able to use for pretty much everything. So I actually may want to consider frost breaking some additional territory so I can set up some easy housing. And something like this might be the way to go. So let's go ahead and place some extra frost breaking like this. Okay, you can see the giant extractors getting out. And now that they have finished breaking this round of ice, we'll place down an extraction district. This game is not set up like Frostpunk 1 where you place down all the individual buildings. We have grown way past that at this point. So now, instead of building individual buildings, we build districts and let the city build itself. Let's get an extraction district. I want to place this on the oil. It's going to take 3 tiles in order to construct, which we can start easily right about now. We'll also go ahead and get ourselves some housing districts. Now, these require workforces, prefab, scraps. They also demand heat in order to operate. What we can do is intentionally build this around the generator so that we'll get extra value out of the heat. By building 3 tiles here, you can see we get 20 extra heat. That makes it a lot easier to maintain this district. So we'll go ahead and build out something kind of like this, and that's about as efficient as I'm going to be able to make it. We'll even build up a second housing district and do the same thing, kind of like so. Getting a little bit ahead of what the game recommends right now, but I've played this before, so I know exactly what we want to do. So the oil is now done. The thick black liquid oozes through the pipes, and our people rejoice. We can turn on the furnace. So let's go to the Dreadnought and turn on the generator. Now you can see we have enough heat to take care of our people. In fact, we have a surplus of oil right now, which we can't stockpile, but it is there. The furnace is on, we have enough oil. However, we're going to need some prefabs to get any construction. There are some wagon wrecks right here, so this is where we're going to frost break out yet another area, kind of like this, right? And then we're going to be placing down another one of these extraction districts in just a bit. Boom, done. Let's place it. I need these prefabs or else we're not going to be able to construct any additional buildings from here on out. Done. All right, now we need to get some access to food, though I do still have not enough housing for everybody. So let's go ahead and get ourselves one more housing district. We'll do something kind of like this, I suppose. Perfectly fine. And let's start thinking about food. So we need to frost break our way out to some of this fertile soil. There's not a lot to go around, but it's all we've got. So we'll go ahead and start working our way here. Now, what I want to do is intentionally snake my way down to this. This right here is a seal colony. Hard to see, but it's there. It's got 400,000 food, enough to last us for the rest of the prologue. It is important you get down here as fast as you can. So we're going to do that for ourselves. Again, when I played in Warsaw, some people didn't do that, and then they died. So, yeah, we don't want to be one of those people. Let's get a small food district set up over here, though, because we'll take advantage of that fertile soil. It is not an infinite resource, though. Eventually, you will run out of food here. So be prepared for the possibility that you are going to run out here and you need to get some more sources. That's where the seal colony becomes so good. Whoops, I just clicked through that event, did not mean to, but now it's saying we need to stockpile 40,000 units of food to survive the whiteout, and we have 70 weeks to do that. It's not a lot of time. Also, we're not even stockpiling anything because I still don't have enough food. So let's go ahead and frost break our way over to the seal colony, set something up along over here, get this oil set up as well. We might want to take advantage of that in the near future. In fact, we already don't have enough heat. So we're going to have to do that for sure, but we've got to get the food going first. So we'll set up the seal colony there, and then we'll set up an extraction district over here. And that should be enough to get us some more heat and some more food, so we'll be a little bit better off. We can also see over here a little event popping up. We've been here so many times that the soil is depleted, the yield is low. What this is recommending is we either tell our people to be prepared to tighten their belts and eat less food, and also maybe enact some emergency shifts. We're gonna do both of those things to show how that works. So we can see our people right here. This faction is the Wanderers. There will be more when we get to New London. For now, though, we have interactions with them, including asking them to tighten their belts. This means that hunger goes up, but food demand is gonna go down. That's pretty huge. We'll also finish building up this seal colony food extractor right now, and then we're gonna do an emergency shift. Trust falls, but production efficiency goes from 80 up to 100. So it's a pretty nice boost for us. Trust, by the way, is this yellow bar down at the bottom. If this ever goes down to 0, we lose. So don't ever allow that to happen. Now, as far as some additional frost breaking, I do want more food, but I also know that I'm gonna need more prefabs. So let's work our way over here so we'll be able to set up an additional district. Get that going for sure, or I'm not going to have enough prefabs to finish building everything I want to. We'll get ourselves one more of these extraction districts. Again, prefabs, like the food, do not last forever. There's only 9 weeks of these left, which is why I know I'm going to need a second one. All right, what else do we have going on over here? Against the elements, Squalor is building up. This is new in Frostpunk 2. See, we've always had to worry about things like disease and hunger, but now, as we industrialize, and if we don't have enough materials to maintain standards of living, Squalor goes up, and that creates a whole new set of problems. We need materials. The fact that I'm in a deficit right now is going to hurt. So let's go ahead and start frost breaking our way up over here to some extra food, but also up toward these supplies of materials. Now, note that it does cost some workforce, temporarily, every time you frost break, and some scraps. So you can't just do this everywhere. You need to be intentional about where you're going to place it. Ah, and here's a very important event. All right, there is a mysterious symbol on a dead scout. So in Frostpunk 1, you as the leader had a choice to follow one of two ideologies, order or faith. Frostpunk 2 allows that legacy to carry on into the new city, and this is where we get to make that decision. We could symbolize order or faith, or say we don't really care, let it be a coin flip. I'm going to go for order, which is kind of fun. I usually go for faith, but we'll save that for a higher difficulty playthrough. Let's instead go for order. This does change what ideology you're going to be following with your city. You'll understand in a bit, just understand that that's there, and it's pretty cool that it exists. All right, we need to get some additional food and stuff, but I also need the extraction districts. Let's go ahead and frost break a little bit more. I want to break up this source and this source, and I don't really care where the other one goes, so this is fine. Not a lot of prefabs to go around still. We're making it, though. We'll be all right. Let's go ahead and get the extraction district. 1, 2, 3, done. Now, one thing to keep in mind is there is a finite space for the amount of food we are gathering. Only 10,000. I need 40,000. So we're going to have to place down some stockpiles in a bit. Here's another important event. It's an old lady, Tria Cleghorn, who's basically saying she's lived a full life. If it comes down to it and we don't have enough food, she'd rather die than let her family starve. So this might become relevant for us later on, but if we can get enough food, we can actually prevent that extreme measure from even being necessary in the first place. So the materials are getting built up. Let's go over here and look at hubs. Hubs are something new. We can place this down. This is going to boost up our stockpile capacity, and it reduces the workforce requirements for the relevant districts nearby. Now, it's never going to be enough where it saves you workforce. It takes 100 to build these in the first place, but workforce is really important to maintain. Every little bit counts. So always, always, always place these next to your correct districts. And in fact, plan your city around placing those in a few places, because it is actually very, very helpful. Now over here, we can see that this resource supply is nearly depleted. So this is going to be going away very, very soon. We have the extra stockpile about done. We have met the needs of our people by getting materials, so trust rises. And I could actually get myself another hub, and I'm going to because we know we need a second one in order to have 40,000 food stockpiled. I had 10,000 by default. I need 30,000 more. This district no longer has use, so we're going to go ahead and demolish this, get some of our resources back. And aside from this, actually, we are pretty much set. I should have my food ready in 39 weeks. This will run out before that happens, though, so let's get ourselves one last food district right along here, like so. And now we actually are done. We can coast. However, the temperature did just drop. So tell you what, to be safe, one more thing that we can do, place down another extraction district right over here on this third source of oil. If we need to, we can even go over here and do another emergency shift. That helps. We could also go to the Dreadnought and overdrive the generator for a bit just to reduce the damage for a little while. But the extra oil is going to carry us to victory, I promise. We're completely fine. And saving the game. There we go. Now we're in the positive. We're fine. In 21 weeks, we'll get there. We'll run out of supplies. Doesn't matter. We're good. The prologue is done. I'm going to go ahead and jump forward. And now we get our next event, deciding if we are going to make a sacrifice. People are getting tense. They worry there won't be enough food in time. We have a couple options. We could slaughter the seal colony. All of them. Possibly making them an extinct species, but it will get us a ton of food. Or our elderly have volunteered to walk out into the snow and die, so we have less mouths to feed. We could do that too. Yeah, a little bit scary. Now here's the thing. I've set myself up so well, I don't need to resort to these extremes, and I don't know if there are going to be any consequences later on in the game. So I'm not going to do either of these. But if you were in a bit of a pinch, this would be your only way out of it. And it's reminding you just how harsh this game truly can be. Anyway, in 4 weeks we've got enough food. Nothing for us to do but coast here. We're looking really good. The whiteout is almost here, and there we go. Prepare yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. It's about to get rough. Not that there's anything for us to do. We actually finished up that prologue beautifully. So against all odds, the Wanderers have survived, and we can see here from the description, we did great. The seals survived, and the elders survived. But they are still telling us about a sinful city that pumps smoke into the sky. And this is going to begin Chapter 1. We survived the end of the world. Now what? This is about the point where I started getting some actual chills as I was playing Frostpunk 2 for the first time in Warsaw. Because here we're about to have the big reveal. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to New London. The city stands 30 years later. Under the captain's leadership, humanity has survived. But the old captain is dead, and New London is weak. Food is running low, overpopulation looms, and coal is running out. People yearn for a future worth dreaming of. But is it the same future for all? Keep the city together, or hold its hand on its deathbed. The city must not fall! And thus begins Chapter 1. Alright, so coal is running out, because the captain appears to have mismanaged a few things towards the ends of his reign, and now that he is dead, we as the steward must suffer the consequences. We need to find coal ASAP. Because if we take a look down here, the generator's off. We've got absolutely nothing, so everyone's gonna freeze. There is some coal to be found over in this direction, some shallow coal veins. So we had to frost break our way out over here immediately, or else we are surely going to die. So we'll go ahead and do that. I see we also do not have enough housing. We have no food production, but we do have a surplus we're currently burning through, so we got some time there. We're also producing no goods. Goods is important for a few reasons. If you don't have enough, you start getting crime. That's a whole new problem to worry about. Also, if you don't have enough goods, you're not going to be producing as many heat stamps. We're not producing scrap anymore. Now we have a proper currency, a unit of heat to be traded with people. Let's go ahead and worry about getting ourselves some early housing. 5 different districts to us now: housing, food, extraction, industrial, and logistics. We'll start with the housing. Now over here, we are sheltered from the wind in this little crevasse. So we're gonna go ahead and place these along here to get the maximum value of 20 extra heat. And then we are going to be placing these, I don't know, somewhere. It doesn't really matter too much. Let's just go ahead and place these up on the cliff faces like so. And this looks really good. I mean, I miss being able to place down the individual buildings. I really do. But gosh dang, the city is pretty. All right, now we need to get ourselves an extraction district. Let's place that along the coal. I'm intentionally going to leave some spaces open because, well, maybe not right here, but in some places I'm going to, because I want the ability to place down some more hubs. Not just the stockpiles we had talked about, right? We saw those with food, and we have those for all resources. There's also heating hubs to reduce the heating demand of nearby city areas. Also, there's going to be things like transportation hubs to reduce workforce. Like, you really need to plan your city out carefully. So we'll worry about the rest of that in a minute, but that is something I'm going to be thinking about as I build out my districts. Let's get some more housing over here. Same exact thing. I want to get the extra heat, so we'll do that. And then we'll place these out, I don't know, over here. That seems fine. We'll need to get ourselves another district, too. So let's get a third housing district. 1, 2, 3. So that's worth a bit for the settled from the wind buff. Plus, we build close to the other district. We get 40 heat out of the arrangement. I call that pretty good. So, the extraction zone is now done. We have coal. Let's go to the generator over here. Hello, let me click on you, thank you. And turn it on. Now we have a surplus of heat, and we're going to be fine once the housing is built up. Okay, pretty good. Now let's talk about a few things. So down on the bottom, you're going to see we have 3 factions currently within our city. These represent the political makeup of our people. We have the Frostlanders, who want to adapt to our surroundings, and the New Londoners, who want to industrialize and basically conquer the lands around us. And their more fanatical version is the Order faction, the Stalwarts. There will be a 4th faction at some point, but who it's going to be, we don't know yet. That is still to be decided. Now, something else I know I'm going to need is actually an expansion to one of these housing districts. So let's go to this district here. We can spend a little bit more prefabs and heat stamps in order to place down a little extra space, kind of like this. I'm actually going to leave this open. Let's do this instead. And this will be a really good transportation hub or something later. So we'll do that. There we go. The reason I'm doing that is because I know what the next steps are going to be. First off, let's celebrate that a baby was born. Hello, Lily May. You give us hope. Because she was born as soon as the generator turned on, which is very poetic. There we go, we have moved on, we have scraped the barrel, we have the last veins of coal being extracted, we need to mine it efficiently. So this is why I want to have the extra expanded district, because we can place down some buildings in this game. If we go over here, we can construct a research institute. Now, it only can be placed in housing districts with building slots to spare. This one doesn't have any, but because I just expanded this district, we have an empty building slot. So now I can place down the Research Institute right over here. This is what's going to unlock all the research. I'm going to also get one more expansion for our housing district, let's say right over here. Just because I'm still at -5, and why let anyone freeze to death right now? We can see that the cold is quite notable right now, but it is going down because we have enough heat, and shelter scarcity is going away. Now we have access to our idea tree. Okay. So there are different ideas based on these political factions I talked about earlier about how we should develop the city. The Stalwarts and New Londoners want to lean on machine-powered mining, but the Frostlanders want to be more frugal. Let's take a look at our options in the idea tree. So this is basically your research screen, and it is a lot bigger than in Frostpunk 1. Because not only do we have a lot of technologies, most of which you can't see now, broken apart across many different categories, but within each of these, there is also multiple choices to be enjoyed. So for example, the Frostlanders believe we should build a dust coal mine, which is going to suck up the extra coal dust and compress it so we get more briquettes. We get pretty decent coal output, 400 workforce, a little bit of disease increase, not a lot of material demand. But alternatively, the New Londoners and the Stalwarts believe we should have blasting coal mines. More coal, less workers. More squalor, a lot more materials. So this is where you have to kind of decide based on which faction do I want to make happy, who has the most political power in the city, and also, economically, what can I handle? Because workforce is a very precious resource, and I do need fast coal output so I can stockpile it. But squalor, materials, that's all bad, so what do you want to do, right? We're going to go for the blasting coal mine, but these are the kind of things you're going to have to think about, and this is where the game starts getting more and more complicated, and every technology has those kinds of branching paths. You make some people happy, but you're going to make other people very unhappy, and that's something you need to be aware of. All right, so while we're working on all this, let's think about some additional things we could do. I could build out a food district. I do see that we have some food sources that are set up over here, so it would make sense to go ahead and build out some of these districts. Now, I can't place this in a way where I'm going to get 3 rounds of heating, so I don't know if you get partial benefits or you have to do 3 or there's no point. So I'm going to do something like this to start, and that's going to leave some room for some hubs, and then we'll do an expansion later and try to get some extra heat value, just so we can reduce how much coal we actually need. Which, by the way, the more of these districts we build, the worse this gets, so be aware of that. We get a little pop-up here for the Order faction. It's good to have you back, old chap. It was a terrible fright to have you switched off. You're more than just a heat source to us, you know. They're talking about the generator, by the way, not me. To us, you're a symbol of what we should be. Unbending, unyielding fortitude. May we all stand so bold against the frost. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about ideology, because there are 3 different axes of ideology you're going to have to worry about in this game. If you look down in the bottom left, you can see there's a competition between progress and adaptation. There's also going to be merit and equality and tradition and reason. And these are all at odds with each other. You're going to have to pick a lane at some point and try to build those out. You cannot satisfy everyone. It's just not going to work. Politics will get more important later, but you will understand eventually, I promise. Let's go ahead and frost break out some additional coal sources. There's a pretty good amount to be had over here, and I know that I want as much of this as I can. So let's go ahead and frost break that area. I'd like to start building up a surplus of coal, not relying so heavily on just like barely scraping by. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. That'll do the job. And now we can get this district built up. Perfect, beautiful, thank you much. All right, we have finished with the idea. We've got the blasting coal mine. So now I'm going to move on to other things, like, let's say, housing insulation. This is one of the few technologies that everyone agrees is a good idea, so we might as well do it. I'm going to throw the Frostlanders a bone and do this at their behest. Costs me a little bit of money, reduces the amount of heat that housing districts request. So the extra insulation of keeping these guys together is actually pretty great. Right now, they do still demand a bit of heat, but we're about to reduce that. That will help an absolute ton. Let's go back to our buildings. We have a new extraction building, and we'll get a blasting coal mine to be placed in this district, which means we're going to extract from here a lot faster. Now again, this is not an infinite resource, so the faster you burn through it, the faster it runs out. Hopefully you have enough surplus stockpile to be okay. Alright, with the new mine, the impending doom of depleting coal is postponed, yet the tensions remain. We need to give the people an opportunity to voice themselves and how they think the city should be run. This means we need another new building. In Central, we can build a council hall. Let's place that right over there, like so. So that's going to get built up. We have a lot of coal coming in right now. What else could I do that would be helpful? We could try to get some materials. We're burning through that stockpile pretty quickly. We could also go for some additional food. Place something like this over here. Yeah, this may not be a bad idea. I would like to go ahead and get myself some extra food production so we don't burn through that surplus too quickly, though it is only a matter of time. The council is gathering. For the first time, we can now vote on new laws. Anticipation fills the air as the council opens. The captain ruled with a firm hand for years, but those times died with him. Now the communities of the city want to say. They're clashing over their vision. You can see here the stalwarts believe in progress, merit, and reason. So it is safe to say that when we eventually do have an opposing faction, they're going to prefer things like equality and tradition and stuff like that, right? So be aware of that. All right, let's open up the session. Now, based on how I handled the coal crisis, this is an opportunity for the council to decide if they have confidence in me or vote me out of office. So we'll take a look at the council like so. It's looking beautiful, by the way. I think it looks great. So you can see here that 22 delegates are definitely voting for me. 13 are voting against. The rest are independent. Now, you could just do the vote here, and it's like a 50-50 chance that you survive or outright lose the game and you're kicked out of office. I've done a playtest. That did happen. What's better is instead to negotiate. Let's talk about how politics work here. So we can negotiate with the different political factions here and try to get their delegates to vote for me. So if I go to the New Londoners and say, hey, please vote for me, they'll say, okay, give us something. We can say we will vote for machine-centric shifts or an automated logistics bay, or we'll research a mechanical factory. One of these three has to be met within a certain amount of time, or else we will have betrayed their trust. I will say that I'll do a machine-centric shift. This is a law I already might do. Workforce requirement decreased means I have more workers to go around. Squalor's not good, but we can live with it. So now we definitely have enough votes. Let's go ahead and cast the vote of confidence. And I immediately have the 51 votes that I know I'm going to need, so our game is secure. Okay, looking good. We survived the first threshold. Good, there are challenges ahead. The vein is only going to last so long. Now we must find more fuel. This ends the tutorial. The prologue, the tutorial, it's all done. No more hand-holding. Now we need to find a source of fuel or we will surely die eventually. Now, what the game is recommending is that you build a logistics district, and I very strongly agree with that. There are 3 in this area. One up here, one over here, and one down here. If you're going to be building a logistics district, and do not wait on these. Seriously, they are super important you get early because you have to explore. I recommend building here or here. One of these two is acceptable. I'm going to go ahead and take this one to the north. Let's go ahead and start frost breaking our way up toward, let's say, this extra food, but then kind of take a pit stop over in this direction. Now, we are running very low on heat stamps. One way you can get a bit extra, if you go to factions who currently like you a lot, there are things you can do with them. So with the stalwarts, we could actually mobilize enforcers to have some extra police roaming the city and make sure crime stays low, which is quite tempting. Not worried about that right now, though. We could fund their projects, we can make them promises, we could grant them the next vote. That gets some extra support. We could also promote them to get extra members, or condemn them to reduce it. And then we can also call in some favors and ask them to give me some extra money. So what I'm going to do is promote these guys so that they have extra council members. Then I'm going to raise some funds. This is kind of trading off some of our relations, but it does get me some extra cash that I know I'm going to need. I also recommend turning on the generator's overdrive periodically, even if you don't need it, because it's going to let you save a fair bit of coal. And if this is ever sitting at 0%, that's basically just extra coal you're using up for no reason. So always be willing to turn this on and off and on and off. Be willing to toggle it around. It gets you a little bit of extra resources because the temperature's about to drop and you want to make sure you have plenty to go around. We'll frost break this last little area right over here by the logistics point. Thank you. We got the asbestos lining. I did promise that we would go to resources and vote on worker shifts. The machine-centric shifts right here is what we said we would do, so let's go ahead and research that idea. Then we'll have to vote on it as a law. It's not an instantaneous thing. And let's go ahead and place down our logistics district like so. This is going to allow me to start exploring the Frostlands, and the faster we do this, the better, by a long shot. Temperature is about to drop. There it goes. All right, so we're now down to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Cold, but manageable. Really not that big of a deal. I'm going to go ahead and start frost breaking some extra land out here to get access to these materials. I want all of these. And we actually should be able to build out a perfect 6-tile district right here to take advantage of all of these with room for a hub. So that's pretty nice. Can start working our way toward an infinite source. We don't have the technology for this yet, but obviously someday we are going to want that. I do need more prefab production. We don't have enough workers, though, so that's not going to work. Boo. Yeah, workforce is hard to come by enough of. It really is, but all right. We did finish getting our logistics district. Now we have access to the wider world. So you can see here that there are several different areas we can explore. Now, to the south, we have things like the Highlands, which is dangerous territory and takes 20 Frostland teams. In the top right, you can see we only have 15. In the east, we have the Gorge, also dangerous. This is why I say don't build your logistics area to the south. You can go anywhere, but it makes it a little bit longer. Better to build in the north or to the west. What we're looking for are points of interest. We already have one right here, actually. Makeshift shelters. We can take some new Londoners who were settling outside the city waiting for more space, and we can bring them back in. This means I get more workforce. So temporarily, I will spend 5 of my Frostland teams to get 2,665 more new Londoners, and they're also the faction I politically like anyway. We also want to go to the foothills to do some early exploration. Now, this says we might find prefabs, steam cores, and some more Frostland dwellers. But if you look at the text here, it also says there's an old coal mine. It may not be a permanent fuel source, but if it gets me some more fuel that buys me more time, it is well worth it. So that is the first place we're going to go. Again, that's why I recommend building up here to the north. Unfortunately, with all the new people, we have housing issues again. No problem. We keep building additional houses. Always build in a way that you're going to be able to get additional heat. You want to stack these up together. I also would love to get another extraction district, so the materials are important, but I need prefabs. I'm going to build over here. Now, one thing that might be tempting, you see all the extra heat, but if I build here, I'm going to start building up some additional squalor for my people, and that is not wise. So we're not going to do this. Maybe we could afford to, like, getting 1 or 2 tiles. Actually, I kind of wonder if this would work. If I did something like this, it wouldn't be enough to get enough heat. That's too bad. It would be kind of cool if we could find a way to get some extra heat and not trigger the squalor. Well, I'm not going to risk it. For now, let's just go ahead and build like this. Get me some extra prefab production so I do not run out of gas when it comes to building out the city. We have met the demands of the new Londoners. Trust rises as a result. We can go over here and try to get some more funds from them. And I will. It's going to cost me a bit. It reduces trust because trust is an aggregate of all the political factions. But it's okay. The extra money is a big deal right now. In fact, I could spend some of that money to go ahead and fund the stalwarts and help them get more membership so I can have my fanatical branch getting stronger. We'll worry about that another time, though. Electioneering is kind of important. What other things would I want, though? We could research some city upgrades, worker compensation, denser housing blocks, youth rules, new hubs. The air transport hub is kind of a big deal. This is a way of reducing workforce requirements in neighboring districts. This is why you want to have room for these all over the place. They do take a lot of heat, that's the downside, but otherwise, they are very, very good to have. We could work toward things like advanced coal mines, but this would take steam cores. We don't have those yet. Obviously, though, that could get me a lot of coal. I'm going to go for sawmills, because I know that I'm going to be running a pretty big deficit on some materials, and I'd like to be able to get an upgrade to make that even better. Let's do this. This is a really long-lasting stockpile right here, so that's going to be worth a lot. I need one more housing district. We could do something like this and just keep building around the city. That is an option. Or we could build over here where there's actually double value to be enjoyed. Lots of districts are getting some extra value out of that. Ooh, yes. Perfect. This gets me so much extra heat value across the board. That's going to save me a lot of coal. We get another event here. Cindy's Paul went and got herself a governess, like she's gonna be a duchess or summit. Yeah, this is basically saying the children are running wild. Sometimes not having laws to address things actually makes things a lot worse. By the way, we can vote on this. It's a guaranteed pass. Let's go ahead and do it. But yeah, so like having no children, like laws about how to raise them and stuff can lead them just running wild and causing crime. So like, you really have to be thoughtful about what laws we are going to pass. And if you want to explore these, we can see a lot of options here too. Things like food additives or rules around goods so that we have less goods demand or more production and stuff like that, right? We could go for some city things, basic necessities, contagion prevention, childhood, funeral rights. There's also a whole new set of laws just for your rulership, which can lead to things like martial law and secret police. So when things are looking bad, you might be a little bit of a dictator yourself, but I mean, if the captain could do it, why can't we? Anyway, I actually think that we've covered a lot of ground in this first video. These are the opening moves that I would recommend for anyone first starting out in Frostpunk. And we're already almost at the point where I finished my playtest in Warsaw. So pretty soon I'm going to be going into blind territory and I'm going to have to adapt. But we're going to end things here. Again, a very big thank you to AMD for today's sponsorship and their partnership with 11-Bit Studios. You guys are awesome. If you'd like to learn more about the game, you can find a link in the description down below, or you can try your hand at the sweepstakes for the new AMD Frostpunk 2 themed graphics card. Otherwise, I would ask that you please consider hitting that like button for this video. It really does help. Leave a comment, subscribe, make sure you hit that notify bell, because there's going to be a lot of Frostpunk content coming up very soon. And I will see you guys next time.